on Sunday, and Oasis, of course, kicking off their comeback tour at Cardiff's Principality Stadium as well. But in our opinion today is all about live music experiences and how that's changed since certainly Oasis were touring years ago. And our guest thinks that actually live music has lost a bit of its soul. And Paul Carroll, author, and also did PR for and opened the MEN Arena in Manchester, now of course known as the A Arena, is our, in my opinion, guest and joins us this morning. Paul, morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Why has music, in your opinion, kind of lost its way? Was there a gig where you went to one and you just had a moment where you thought, this just doesn't feel like it used to?
Absolutely, I go to a lot of gigs still. I prefer to go to smaller gigs where you can actually see the artist without looking at a screen, without peering at the stage through a sea of mobile phones held in front of you, and be there and be involved. And, I go back over many years watching gigs. In fact, as you mentioned, I used to work in PR. We did the PR at the opening of the MEN Arena back in '94. And it's interesting to note that back then, the largest venue in Manchester, when Oasis were actually started their career, was only 3,000. And now we are used to, going to large arenas, being miles away from the stage. And not only that, I think the whole, if we call it the etiquette of going to gigs has changed. Not just the prices, which are way beyond any measure of inflation, but also the way people behave, the elitism, separate tickets, the VIP areas, the paying extra to get into an arena earlier. I think it's just, it's ended up to me being like the way the Premiership Football League has gone. You know, the prawn sandwich brigade has hit rock and roll. And I think the problem with that is that it makes it inaccessible to a lot of the loyal and core followers who have been there for many years.
How much of that, Paul, has been driven by the changes in way artists make money, basically, the fall off in obviously record and album sales and needing streaming? And as a result, how can we kind of rectify this?
I think that's absolutely central to the artist's defence for the ticket prices that they're charging. Certainly, if you went to see Oasis at Main Road in '96, you would have paid, I think it was £16.50. You'd have gone out the next morning and maybe bought the new album for the same price. So the artist would have derived income from CD sales at that stage, as well as ticket sales. Now, of course, they're going to generate very little. Most artists are going to generate very little revenue from the 0.003 pence they get per stream. So they would justify it on those grounds. They would also justify it on production ground, because if they're playing bigger venues, they need bigger screens and bigger,
more people behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But of course, I've been to so many gigs where, I don't like arena gigs, where you're so far away, you may as well be in a different county. You may as well be watching on TV, because effectively you are, which begs the question, how has it changed? Because if you go back to
and also, Paul, how do you get it back? How do you pull it back? Because the prices are going to be here to stay, aren't they?
Prices are going to be here to stay because, as Oasis have proved, they've come under criticism for what they're charging, and it is exorbitant. But they've sold out. I imagine the promoters were, kicking themselves out. They didn't charge more in the end. So how does it change? I think artists are trying to tackle what they get from streaming services and platforms. I think that's central. And I also think, with the closure of so many small venues, that, the music fans who are going to pay to go see all these big shows, they're highly selective. They might be paying, hotels, travel, whatever. It can cost £1,000 to go see somebody these days.
You need to go and show your love for your local venue as well.
I'm going to go.
Paul, we're going to have to head to the news, but let us know what you think. 850 583.